But this was what I was thinking 27 years ago. It took me a lot longer to get here than I thought. And I would never do it again. I would no more pick to coach and mentor you fucking slobs as I blow my fucking brains out. Because it's a thankless fucking job. I assumed you all had self-esteem. Shows you how naive I was. Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. All the guys that I hung with, to the extent that we hung, had self-esteem. The reason why you're not more successful is because you're all cunts. And when I say cunt, I mean coward. And nobody's ever told you that. Some of you have had a modicum of success. When I say modicum, I mean modicum. Modicum means a little bit, as my old grandmother would say. You're cowards. But even being a coward, you can become a billionaire with the system. But you have to surround yourself with warriors. Most of you in this room would know a warrior could fit you in the dick. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. As I said last night, I've taught to roughly 20 universities for the last 3 or 4 years, and I asked 2 questions. I asked a lot of questions. One question is, how many would you have your children like your parents? We've had in 20 schools, roughly 300 to 400 a school. We've had 3 people raise their hand. They wanted their children to be like their parents, and they were lying. And then I asked the second question, would you like your kids to be like you? Nobody in 20 universities. That's not too inspiring, is it? And so when I say it's over, we're through as a species, I'm dead fucking serious. But we've been through for a while. Now, whether we last another 50 years or another 200 years, I don't know that. If for 50 years, I'll probably still be around. 200 years, it's not likely that I will be around. Although I'm doing everything humanly possible, known to man, I try everything. I've had stem cells 5 times, which had no effect on me. I can write a book about stem cells. What a load of shit. 5 times. Now, some people say the reason I look like I do at almost 75 is because of those stem cells. I have no way of disproving that or proving it. I can neither confirm nor deny. But we're through. We're absolutely through. And the good thing is that QLA works better in a depression. Now, this is what's coming. This is what's fucking coming, assholes. This is what's coming. And you're not prepared. This is what's coming. In the second or third day, we'll talk about the deficits in America. It's hit biblical proportions. And when that Federal Reserve bubble bursts, it's gonna, you know how when you flush a toilet, the last turd, you know, the last, you'll be the last turd, but you're still going down the toilet. You're not prepared. Nobody's prepared. But the QLA system works better from 2008, when the alleged collapse, till 10, 11, 12, depending on how you want to look at it, it worked better. We produce more billionaires. Because the key thing that makes the QLA model work, and I wish I had thought of it, I'm just mimicking, copying somebody else, Andrew Carnegie from 100 plus years ago, is a motivated seller. And when that happens, they're fucking motivated. And as I say, it's like taking candy from a baby. I get in a lot of trouble about that. A lot of pro-rights groups, or shooting fish in a barrel. I get more hate mail about shooting fish in a barrel than I do taking candy from a baby. Because most people love a puppy, or, you know, they like animals instead of a rugrat, little shithead kid. The system it's not infallible. If it was infallible, all of you would be successful beyond your wildest imagination, but only some of you are going to be that successful. Because I was asked 4 or 5 times yesterday, what's the difference between the people that make it in the group and the people that don't make it? And I mean make it big time, because all of you are better off, and it's the people that stay focused the longest. Remember I said that? And we spend very little time about, because some of you say that you got support significantly. No, you don't have. You don't know how to define support. When you miss your wife's birthday, when you're not there for your 16-year-old daughter, sweet 16, whatever the fuck they call it, right? I've never bought a Valentine's card, a Christmas card, a Hanukkah card, or all the kind of cards that you buy for different events. I've never given a fucking gift. And I'm sure all of you have done all the aforementioned, right? Why? How's your plan worked out so far? Well, you're here. So, there's a couple of people that have made a few bucks, but for the most part, you're here because you tried everything known to man. And I've said it, and Sally's known. I keep saying when I started this, and I pulled out some of my goals and affirmations from 26 and a half years ago. This isn't one of them. But right now, the pundits, for those of you that have little 401ks, little retirement funds, etc., your advisors, or if you have an advisor, trying to look for high-yielding assets because the market's pretty well fully priced. Yet, the return on putting up no money, the returns are I'm getting ahead of myself. This was one of my goals from 27 and a half years ago. Pretty over the top, huh? This was another one. 26 and a half, almost 27, actually 27 years ago, I was saying, now these are what they call under the skin goals. These ones, goals I was telling people. These were goals to myself. I want to be the Mount fucking Rushmore of greatness. Now what were your goals when you started out? To not get arrested? A couple of you. To not get some fucking slut pregnant? Hopefully some of you. We're not programmed for success. But this system, when the tsunami comes, and it's fucking coming, we're going to lose 40 to 60% of the money that's been accumulated worldwide in the last several years, almost overnight. 40 to 60. Let's just call it 50. And what are you going to do about that? What are you going to do about it? When your relatives, your wife, your kids, and most of the people that are around you are drowning financially. Now, I personally think that it's going to end in water again, like it ended supposedly one time a long time ago. Except I'm knowing that motherfucking ark. I'm not drowning. We're 600 feet above sea level here for a reason. The worst case scenario for global warming, the worst fucking case, water's up 100 feet. That's the worst case. So let's say they're wrong like they normally are, right? So let's say the water's up 200 or 300 feet. I'm cool with that. For those of you that are from most of Europe, most of Central America, a good part of the east and west coast of the United States, and I can go on, you're through. If you have beach property, any place in the world, beach property, you know how the sand maybe is a half a mile away or 50 feet away or whatever, you're through. I'm going to the Keys for my 75th birthday in Florida. I'm going to look around and I'm going to miss all this. I'm going to miss all this shit, you know? I said 2 years ago that if global warming was for real, the next big lawsuit action will be class action suits against every property developer on the planet that built condominiums and houses, etc., on the ocean line that didn't have a disclosure in the prospectus saying if global warming is for real, this investment will be worth nothing. Up until that time, there had not been any lawsuits. Subsequent to that, somebody at Exxon must have seen it. They sued developers that had built refineries. Because just as it's a goddamn refinery doesn't mean it's not going to drown. And so now there are a few lawsuits popping up. We plan for the worst here and hope for the best, contrary to what the other guys do. And planning for the worst is not having money. I like that one. But this was what I was thinking 27 years ago. It took me a lot longer to get here than I thought. And I would never do it again. I would no more pick to coach and mentor you fucking slobs as I blow my fucking brains out. Because it's a thankless fucking job. I assumed you all had self-esteem. Shows you how naive I was. Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. All the guys that I hung with, to the extent that we hung, had self-esteem. My dad was a super Marvel hero, except he was for real, as opposed to your parents. I didn't know that everybody was a cunt. In the neighborhood I was raised in East Los Angeles, the barrio, the worst thing you could call a guy was a cunt. That was the biggest form of insult. And to me it still is. I'm not saying that the bodily parts of a female, I think they're terrific. But that's not what I'm talking about. You're a coward. You didn't do what your parents told you to do. You did what you saw them do. And most of your parents in here, there's a method to my madness for asking all those questions. What's the highest high performance thing that your parents ever did? Nothing. What are the highest performance things that you've ever done? Nothing. I'm still surprised people fill out that fucking paperwork. I'd be insulted if I gave the answers you gave. I'd be ashamed. I wanted to create a culture of obsessiveness. I'm OCD. Mine's a disorder. But you'd be better off if you had OCD, compulsive disorder. My OCD has gotten better as I've gotten older. I have ADHD as well. There's maybe one or two people in this room that are obsessive or come from a quasi-obsessive culture. I know a lot of you went to the one day and you saw Marcus Bauer up there, okay? Who used to be on the Austrian ski team, extremely competitive, obsessive. He thought he'll lay, not easy, but he still doesn't believe it. He doesn't have any money. He broke my record. He still, after 10 years, doesn't believe it. That you can walk in and bully, slap around, I don't mean physically slap around the financial institutions, take their fucking money, fuck them for practice, bend them. He still doesn't believe it. I thought that I was going to create a culture of gratitude. You being grateful for me teaching you how to be a billionaire. That hasn't happened. That hasn't happened. Because you want people to think that you did it on your own, so you don't tell anybody how you got so smart. Considering I have about 75 people on the Hall of Fame, there was only 4 people standing up there at the seminar. Or 3 sitting and 1 standing. The others wouldn't piss on your face if it were on fire. Fuck you. I'm on board, pull up the gangplank. Does everybody understand that? I'm on my ship to success. Fuck you, peasants. And you want to help everybody. How's that program got you so far? When you're a kid, you got toys. I'm assuming you were the richest kid on the block, which I hope to God you weren't. But you got toys and the other kids have no toys, right? And what did your mommy say? Share your toys, right? Fuck Johnny. Fuck Johnny and the horse he rode in on. If I had one word to describe the difference between you and those people up there, is they're selfish and you're not. And how has your program worked out so far? Self-esteem is built the first 7 or 8 years of life. For those of you that have kids older than that, forget about it. You might as well give them a gun. You don't turn around 15-year-old kids. Especially you don't. By the way, please turn off your phones, and you can use your laptops to take notes, but don't have them on the line. If you do, and I catch you, I take it from you and I break it in front of you. The reason I show you this is because his deal was supposed to close April 1st last year. The board said it, the accountant said it, the lawyers, everybody said it, and it didn't close till the 28th of December. This shit happened. And unless you've done deals, unless you've spent the money that you pulled out of the deal's not done. It took 8 months to resurrect the deal and finally close it. Just before New Year's, and so he sent me that. I told him I was the only one on April 1 to tell him it's not going to close. The only one. Because even when you follow the steps and do everything right, shit happens. And when you're buying stuff from Asians, the negotiation starts after the deal's closed. That's when the real negotiation starts. After you've got a sales and purchase agreement. And until you've spent the money, spent it, not received it in your fucking bank account, spent it, the deal's not done. But you don't know that. You don't know that. Most of the things that we're going to talk about here, other than you may have heard it at the one day, or you've assimilated it to going through my website many times. I told you about taking notes here. Even the bright kids that come through here, there's only between a 25 and a 40% retention. That's it. The bright ones. And a couple of you allude to being bright on your paperwork, but 25 to 40. So let's just call it 25. You can't make this work with only 25% of the shit, because you will naturally gravitate towards the easier shit that's within your comfort zone. And your comfort zone, what has it gotten you so far? Dick. You need to be, and I just got an email from Brian Rose, you need to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Then you've got a chance. And for those of you, the average age of this group is 35.6 years. The youngest is 21, the oldest is 51 or 52, something like that. And by the time you're arguably in your late 40s or early 50s, you should have already done something with your life. Okay? But more importantly, you have adapted to your own fact pattern. And most of those fact patterns aren't good. I still say my prayers every night. Last night I went to sleep and I had to get up because I forgot to say my prayers. And so, but I say my prayers every night. I did, just like I used to before I had my first communion when I'm 5 years old. I still have the same rosary, and so that'd be about 70 years old. And your fact patterns are poor because you're the average of the 5 or 6 people that you were raised by. And normally that's a mom, maybe a dad if he wasn't traveling, right? Maybe an older brother or sister, grandparents. Now what the fuck do they know about raising high-performance kids? Nothing. I rest my case. So the fact pattern, and the reason I don't allow you to talk to one another is I frown upon it, is because you're not going to share best practices with things that work for you. You're going to share worst practices. And you're going to say, the old man wasn't lying. Boy, this is a motherfucker. It's hard as shit. And that rubs off. And poorness rubs off, kids. And I call you all kids because I know you're old enough to be your grandfather or your father. Poorness rubs off. Just look at your family. Look at a Christmas gathering. A family still get together at Christmas, Thanksgiving, Hanukkah, right? Why? It's culturally acceptable, or it's culturally, and normally it's a culture thing, and certain ethnicities are worse about it. I come from Latino background. My mother was an illegal alien across the Rio Grande River with my grandmother in 1924. So I'm first generation Mexican American. And about 40 years ago, I told my parents I couldn't go to functions anymore. And poor people, they go to the park during the summer because they have no air conditioning, and so the familias get together. I can't do this shit. And so then I was only going to weddings and funerals. And after a funeral, you go back to the family's house, and the men sit in a room and drink beer and shit, and the women waddle their fat asses in the kitchen to make the food and shit, right? Now, what good did that do you, other than getting fat? Which Hispanics are naturally fat. My mother used to say two things. When you go to bed with dogs, you get up with fleas. She was referring to the quality of girls that you want to go out with. And the second thing is, look at the girl's mother, because that's what she's going to look at like in 20 years. And if the girl's mother looks like a fucking front end of a Volkswagen, that's what she's going to look like. So I look for rakes, skinny fucking rakes with big tits. And it's tough to find a skinny rake, big titted with blonde hair, unless it's dyed. So by definition, I wasn't, I wasn't going to be marrying any fucking Chicana, as they say. And now the Chicana that's considered slang, but it's not accepted as Latino, Latina, I don't know. But, so I told my father, if this happens again, I'm not going to come, because he used to introduce me. I walk into the room with the guys at a funeral, after the funeral. See, this is my son that lives in a castle. And I said, after 5 or 6 times, I tell my dad, if you say that one more time, I'm not going to go to any more funeral. Well, he couldn't help himself. So I don't go to funerals.